Askreddit thread. Parent of a weird kid. How did you react when you realized that your kid did really weird, creepy shit? He's not my kid, but my godson is extremely creepy. He likes to stand in his little sister's doorway while she naps and watches her sleep. I ask him why, and he says, it's the closest I can get to seeing her dead. Oh my god. He also likes to shove her fist in his mouth as far as he can go because he wants to know what suffocating is like, just in case. I'm pretty sure he'd be a serial killer if it wasn't for Mario Kart. Can you give me the general region of the Earth this kid is? I'd like to avoid that area. I'm on the east coast of Canada. Most of us are pretty creepy. According to South Park, you guys really like sheep. Can you confirm or deny this for me? True. You just made my day. You're my new favorite person. Do his parents know he's this creepy? I've told them, but he knows better than to do it in front of them. I don't think they understand how creepy it is, so they don't really know how to handle it. Apparently, it's only okay to do it in front of me. That's a really long one. My kid is into nature documentaries. Very into nature documentaries. One day, when he was 3 years old, my wife was getting his bath ready. She was bent over the tub, checking the water temperature. My son shoved his face in her ass, took a huge whiff, walked away, and said, "Ah, dominant female butt." I have since realized not only is he into nature and its beasts, but he retains almost anything he sees while watching those educational shows. He is also most likely going to be an ass man. Pretty amazing that he made the connection to his mom being the dominant female, though. I'm sorry, but this is funny, man. That or a biologist, which is even weirder. Holy shit, your kid is a comedian, so she wears the pants in that relationships. David Assenbroch. Assenborough. When I was supervising her in the bath, she stood up, dropped her washcloth in the water, stood on it to push it under the water, and menacingly whispered, "Now think about what you've done." Funny in hindsight, but at the time I was a little concerned that my daughter tried to drown a washcloth. This is really cute, actually. That's not that creepy. My kid is a classical musician. We're the village idiots, so I have no idea where his talent came from. But he is known as the weirdo in the family. Don't get me wrong, we're very proud, and there really is nothing quite so moving as listening to the planets live from some major performance art center. It has been a real education for us. Alas, we really don't fit in when we attend his concerts, and we are the weirdos. Nice to see weird being beneficial/interesting as opposed to fucking creepy as it has been for the rest of this thread. Best of luck to him. Yeah, playing instruments sure is a lot better than skinning dogs. What? Like Malcolm in the Middle. They had 2 geniuses in that family. Dewey was also a musical genius. I think that's what they meant. They have a musical genius. Everyone else is retarded, except for Malcolm, who's a genius in math. I've told this story once before in a similar thread, so here goes. My kid hit a dead animal. It's escaping me what kind of arm, either bird or squirrel. He kept it there for a long time, until it began to stink up everything. When I thought, oh shit, am I raising a serial killer? I watched him closely for years. He's fine now, in college, good grades, etc. If he's a serial killer, I have no idea. I can think of lots of possible explanations for this, most of which don't involve psychopathy. Your kid might have found the bird and did a kid version of giving it a proper send-off. Or maybe they accidentally killed it and were so overcome with remorse and guilt that they were afraid to tell you about it. I actually did this one when I was given my first BB gun. Killed a sparrow and was immediately sick, and I still can't shake the guilt. Haven't killed anything since, and I think this experience actually changed me for the better. By giving me a taste of what it is like to kill something at such a young age and discovering how thoroughly horrible it made me feel. Of course, I also get teary when I see a dead animal on the side of the road. I just stretched a little. I babysat the neighbor's kids. When the parents went out, the little boy, around 6, told me, "I'm going to kill Mummy," and took me to the top of the stairs where he tried strings across the banister at anchor level. Wow. I used to tie strings around things to make little trip traps when I was a kid too, but never the top of the stairs, and I certainly never did it to kill Mummy. I hope you told the kid's parents. Always did that when I was a kid, until the time my brother carried me up to my bed because I fell asleep on the couch. Little did he know, I put a fuck ton of tape, etc. at ankle level of the door frame thing. To make things worse, I woke up to find myself in the hospital with a broken back. What? Oh, that sucks. My son has said that when he kills someone, he'll put their body on the train tracks. No one will ever know they were murdered. And then he said if anyone saw him, he'd have to put their body on the train tracks too. He was 6. I embraced his dark side. I'll help him out a lot in the future zombie invasion. Gunshot and stab wounds still be visible on the body if it isn't too mangled from the train. And a broken hyoid would easily give away strangulation. You'd be surprised what forensic anthropologist / osteologist can do with skeletal remains, even when highly fragmented. He's going to need a better plan than that. My field of study is creepy. My cousin is creepy. Smashed his pet hamster to death around age 5 with a toy fire truck. Wow. 5-year-old kids should not have unsupervised access to hamsters. Bad parents. Yeah, kids don't understand the concept of death. Kids literally are sociopaths. They haven't developed a moral compass yet. Good, they'll smash that too. Can confirm, 5-year-old me murdered 2 hamsters by strangulation and drowning. First case, cuddled one to death. Second case, hamster would not drink water unprompted. I drowned it trying to force it to drink. Completely oblivious, however. Never leave 5-year-olds with hamsters. Fuck, that kid shit is messed up. When I was 5, I cried for months on end because a bit of fluff came out of my bear. Did the bear survive? Is she or it okay now? Don't leave us hanging like this. Not my kid, but my niece. A few months ago, I read a similar thread, and later that night, just for fun, I asked me brother and his wife if their kid ever did any creepy. They both immediately looked at each other and seemed surprised that I had asked. Apparently, the last few weeks, they would hear my niece talking to herself in her bedroom. They assumed it was just playful imagination, so they didn't give it much thought. One day, however, my brother asked her who she was talking to. She said it was her new best friend Satan that visits her at the window every night. Her window is close to the ground, so they were seriously concerned that there was someone actually going up to her window and kept a close eye on her for the next few weeks. Every single time they would hear her talking, he would go outside to her windows, but never found anyone. They began asking her more about his new friend, and apart from his name being Satan, she mentioned, hey, he follows her everywhere she goes, and that he promised he will bring her a cake one day. At a late cookout at my parents' a week before they mentioned that, she took her mom outside of the backyard and pointed at the pitch black backyard and told her that her friend Satan was there and she wanted to meet her. Also, they made chills run down my spine since I was at the cookout also. After that, they made her promise she wouldn't talk to Satan anymore. Haven't checked my brother how that worked out though. It's probably a coincidence. The imaginary friend is named Satan. For all you know, it's Satan. If it were a different name, would it be creepy anyway? It's just a kid with an imaginary friend. It's not. Weird. That's creepy. All these stories remind me of this thread about shit kids say. I was visiting my family for winter break in Los Angeles. This was about 5 years ago. I was heading to the bathroom on the second floor of my aunt's house when I saw my cousin, April, on the stairs. April was 4 and very animated. She was busy making funny faces while sitting on the stairs. I asked her what she was doing. She said, I'm copying the lady with the braid. I looked around. There was no one else but us. I asked, where is this lady, April? She pointed to a beam running parallel to the stairs. I asked April, what is the lady doing? She said, making funny faces. I smiled and started walking up to the stairs again when April said something that stopped me in my tracks. April, her braids is around her neck. I turned back and asked April to repeat herself. April pointed, the lady is hanging by her braids. She's making funny faces. Then April started making a face, which I then realized was someone gasping for air. Creepy as balls. I don't care what people say about no sleep. Oh my god. Call Ghostbusters 911-999, the Queen, Obama, Cold Steel, the Hedgehog, that one kid that watched you sleep when you left the door open, Illuminati, Phase, dank memes that rares Pepe, Redditors who reply too damn quick, autistic, deviant art user obsessed with furry, Sonic, and My Little Pony. Nope, no. That is creepy. My 3-year-old daughter loves old monster movies. I'm in the habit of putting on a movie while I clean the house. I plugged in King Kong, 1933. Next thing I know, my daughter is enthralled. She can't stop screaming, "What's that? A monster!" and crying when Kong kills a dinosaur. Asked her 5 times if she wanted me to stop the movie and got an empathetic no. Since then, she's gone on to fall in love with rare Harrison films and Godzilla films. She cries her eyes out every time Mothra leaves Earth in Godzilla vs. Mothra and the battle for Earth. My wife was concerned that our 3-year-old actually enjoys crying and watching movies that make her sad or scared. I just shrugged and found some old Kong Godzilla toys on eBay. When her friends, who are girls, come over, she tries to get them to play Monster. They look at her like they have no clue what she's asking. I was a weird kid myself, so my only hope is that I can convey to her that there is nothing wrong with being into things other kids aren't. That it makes her unique and cool and interesting. And that she should also learn how to play with other kids, otherwise she's going to be alone a lot, unless she has some really good friends, which is rare. Not a parent, but a friend of mine is extremely weird, and I wonder myself how his parents react. He has several weird tendencies. He absolutely refuses to get a smartphone. He has an old Nokia, and even after we tell him eventually there will only be smartphones, he counters to this buying 100 of these phones on eBay just in case. He has no problem having one of us look stuff up on smartphones, though. He hates condiments and meat on sandwiches. When he goes to deli, he just gets bread, cheese, and nothing else. Gross. He is terrified of alcohol. Once someone put vodka in a drink of his, he took 1 sip and had to go to therapy. Wow. Edit, I forgot. He also still sleeps as one of those safety bars on a bed to prevent you from falling. He's 27. He's a good friend, just very different. As a severe anxiety sufferer, it sounds like he's got some paranoia going on. Won't buy a smartphone because he might be paranoid about data collective/privacy issues. Won't drink alcohol because he might be afraid of blacking out or being taken advantage of. Bars on the bed because he might be paranoid about falling off the side of the bed. Obviously, I'm not an expert. I just have a BSW, but I really hope the therapist put him on an anti-anxiety medication. It might really improve his quality of life. I was largely labeled as the weird kid and had been for longer than I cared to remember. When I say weird kid, I mean, while people in my grade were going to school dance, I was trying to rewire my alarm clock. I eventually broke it. When my friends went to concerts, I was trying to grow crystals. Technically, it worked. While my peers were going to birthday parties, I wanted to stay home and learn to sharpen a chainsaw. When I asked my parents what they were thinking, they told me, "We never saw what you did as weird. You were more unique. Nothing would satisfy your never-ending why. And as long as what you were doing didn't hurt you or others, why stop a child who wants to learn? We would rather have a child who spent his Saturdays making a cigar box guitar than try to force that same child to do everything his peers were doing." I actually teared up upon hearing this. Don't squander your child's potential. If they seem a little weird at first, give them a little freedom to express their weirdness. Don't give them absolute freedom, though. That's a bad idea. When my friends went to concerts, I was trying to grow crystals. You made meth, didn't you? That's what I was thinking, too. Technically, it worked. With love, my daughter has Asperger's and is about to start her 2nd year middle school. Middle school girls aren't known for their empathy, and while we've worked tirelessly for about 10 years to help her get along socially, it's exhausting for her, and she's probably the weird kid at school. She's got a small number of friends that will hang out with her individually, i.e. not during school time, but get them in a group situation at school, and the larger social dynamic of middle school girls kicks in, and she's left out. So yeah, my daughter's the weird kid. She's also loving and funny and an honor student and into anime and Minecraft and theater. From what you said at the end, it sounds like she has a ton of interest and is pretty happy. Go you. Oh, poor kid. At least she has hobbies. Not sure if anyone will see this, but when I was a kid, my mother broke my tiny heart when she told me. She said, all exaggeratedly, "Why do you have to be so weird? Why do I have such a weird child?" Those words crushed me, and to this day I hate it when people call me weird, or that it's okay that I'm weird. By definition, if everyone is weird, then I am normal. I did not get that feeling of being unique like some have. It's not a compliment to feel like an outcast or an outliner all your life. This is who I am. I'm not some quirky holds-up sport person. I'm not even that interested of an individual. I've had a pretty average life, so I don't know where you're getting this from. It's one of those things I brush off now, but secretly it eats me up inside. That was definitely your mom projecting shit onto you. It's hard for the child to shrug that off. Parents need to remember to be more sensitive. My daughter is super weird. Not in a creepy way, but in the way that will most likely get her picked on as she gets older. We embrace it. Make sure she knows that being weird is not only okay, but a good thing. That is makes her unique. When the day comes that she does get picked on, it's gonna suck for her. Not as much as us telling her not to be herself with, though. Hopefully, if you reinforce that it is okay and that she should be proud of it, she will brush off the mean things kids can say. I mean, that's a noble thing to do. But I think the better thing would be to, tell them it's fine to be weird and everything, but also teach them how to interact normally with people. That way they don't have a hard time. They can be weird and at the same time, be sociably normally. That's what I used to do. I have lots of weird hobbies, but I learned how to talk to people normally, so I never had any problems with it. While a lot of the people in my weird hobbies who were just complete weirdos never really bothered, and they just got picked on for being weird. It's like, well, you're kind of weird too. I kind of like hanging out with you for this particular hobby, but if it wasn't for that, I probably would not give you the time of day because you're just weird. Coming from... Oh, I was always known as the weird kid too, so I kind of relate to all this. Oh, the weird kid with lots of friends though. My response is always, if he's gay, then he's gay. I'll love him anyway. My 5-year-old boy has always loved girl stuff. He wants to talk rather than play with toys. He's gotten into Barbies and Monster High. I've mentioned this to people, and a few have said, you better stop that. They don't want your son to turn out gay. My response is always, if he's gay, then he's gay. I'll love him anyway. I feel that it's my job as a father to support him and nurture him, to make sure that he knows he's loved and accepted no matter what. I never want him to feel like he can't be himself at home or in front of me. No one should have to be a stranger in their own house. Your kid is lucky to have a parent like you. Any parent who tries the "you better stop that, you don't want your son to turn out gay" route is going to end up with a sexually confused, self-hating child with emotionally damaged that will last them well into their adult lives. Oh, thank you. I was bullied for being weird when I was younger, and it was really tough, but I came out of it strong and safe because I always knew that at home I was accepted and loved and that it really was okay to be me. The problem was with other people. Seriously, it's not that hard to act normal. The way I look at it is that kids are always going to find a reason to be mean to each other. She's going to be bullied at some point no matter what. It's important for individual growth. Does it suck? Sure, but it builds character and allows kids to learn how to deal with assholes later in life. I wish to clarify, I don't condone excessive bullying. Kids teasing each other and saying mean things are going to happen. I can't stop it. All I can do is encourage her to be proud of who she is. If I said something to her, told her to knock off the weirdness, that would be so much more detrimental than some kids giving her shit. And even if she did knock it off, they would just find another reason. Because in the end, kids are little assholes. Besides, weirdness should always be embraced. It's awesome. You are great. Seriously though, that pride, self-love, and self-accomplishment is the difference between someone who comes out bullying healthy and someone who comes out of it with issues that cripple their future happiness. Making your child understand right in her bones that she's loved and welcome just as she's the best protection you can give her against the troubles of the world. I am so grateful that my parents did this for me. I've seen friends with near identical circumstances but less validating parents who really struggled years later, and you're absolutely doing wonderful things for your child. My kid has been the weird kid since about 2 years old. His favorite bedtime stories are the user manuals to my appliances. At 3, he became obsessed with human biology and would watch open heart surgeries on YouTube. He was also obsessed with vacuums for 4 years. He would spend hours in department stores demonstrating to shoppers how to use them. At 5, his summer plans was to teach himself mechanical engineering and physics. I could go on. When he turned 3 is when I started to suspect he was different. It scared the fuck out of me. He's my firstborn, so I had no idea if he was developing normally or not. His thirst for knowledge became extreme, and I didn't understand how to handle it. So, at 4, I sent him to a child psychologist. I was terrified my son would have a nervous breakdown, because although he was young, he never once in his life played. All he did was learn. The psychologist made it clear to me that he was gifted, but that I had to force him to play, otherwise he would develop OCD and other disorders. I'm trying to make this short. He's 8 now and still different, but he does play. Sometimes. I'm happy he is who he is, but I can see that he has a difficult life ahead of him. He doesn't have many friends, mainly because he would rather discuss the news than some new game or toy. I can say this though. I don't think I'll ever meet another human being who is anything like my son, and I love him for that. He's going to be rich as fuck if you foster that talent. I was labeled weird in elementary school because me and my best friends were convinced we were dogs and our mission was to fight off the devil. Apparently, dogs were equivalent to angels. Also, we galloped around the playground on imaginary horses, or as we called them, Pegasus unicorns. The little boy my granddad took in is really creepy, but no one else sees it but me. He is obsessed with Five Nights at Freddy's and guns. He has so many toy weapons, it's worrying. He also likes to tell me in detail how he is going to kill me and my grandma. All he does is sit at the computer and play Minecraft. He makes these really complicated machines to kill NPCs, then he laughs when they die. He also likes to attempt to get into the bathroom when anyone else is doing anything in there so he can watch. Wow. This really depends on how old is he. It is a normal thing for a child to be fixated on something for a long time. My brother is obsessed with Minecraft and Five Nights at Freddy. And he regularly kills NPCs in different ways, but it doesn't bother me much. The telling you he's going to kill you might be concerning, but he may have heard it from someone at school or something or other. I don't know, just add my 2 cents to the mix. As a creepy kid growing up, I can tell you what not to do. I spent most of my childhood silently watching people and catching bugs by myself. My mom had zero clue what to do with me, although she was never anything but well-intentioned. Treated me the same as my outgoing, overachiever older sister. She pushed me to join groups and do things that made me withdraw even more from other people, and she would be furious when I inevitably stopped going or hid, or ignored people and just read a book instead of whatever thing I was doing. Needless to say, that was not helpful for a kid already showing signs of severe anxiety disorder. And when my dad died when I was 12, I felt like I lost my only advocate and friend. I went into a shell that I wouldn't emerge from for a decade. It wasn't an easy way to grow up, and at 30 I still struggle with anxiety and avoid personal relationships. Mostly because I didn't develop the social skills as a kid needed to make friends. I have no idea what I'm doing. Mom, who has mellowed considerably from when we were kids, actually apologized to me for the treatment. She did the best she could, but realized that I would probably have benefited from support and encouragement more than anger. I also probably should have been seeing a therapist throughout childhood. Salavine, I suppose, but I would highly encourage anyone with weird, creepy child to listen closely to them, avoid anger, and to not be at all shy about getting them to a therapist. Sort of related, my mother found out about my foot fetish when I was in 8th grade because I'd left some foot-related porn up on a monitor that I'd managed to sneakily find. She panicked and threatened to send me to therapy. It really fucked me up about my abnormal sexuality for a long time until I found a girlfriend that made me feel comfortable exploring it. Parents, please try your hardest not to panic and jump to a negative conclusion. Try and look it up online or research details about behavior or fascinations and go from there. Male cousin of mine, 12 years old, asked several of my female relatives and even my girlfriend if he could give them foot massages while we were on vacation, like powwow. It got to the point where he was very forward and pressing to give foot massages and making people say no 3 to 4 times before moving on to someone else. I'm pretty sure he is on the autism scale, maybe Asperger's. Creepy nonetheless. Probably had a foot fetish and was being weird about it. Alright, that was the creepy part, asking relatives. I understood that he is a child still and probably doesn't understand the feelings is weird. Devout Mormon family probably doesn't help either. My SO and I aren't LDS, but it is a problem in the church to tell anyone who has any sexual feelings outside of traditional intercourse to repress them completely. More weird than creepy, but the way he was aggressive about it was creepy, like he needed to give someone a foot massage. Oh, this is actually kind of long. How many more do we have? Not many. I'll just read this last one. My daughter, age 5.5, is the weird kid in her class. She's odd in a number of ways. She's super smart, can read at an adult level, not exaggerating, and she's friendly towards other kids, but she just plays differently. She spends about 80% of her time pretending to be an animal. Usually it's one particular animal that she obsesses over for months. Then she moves on to another. For well over a year, literally her entire world was chickens. Now she's moved on to guinea pigs. She also is very much into darker, macro-based side of life. She talks a lot about dead bodies, cremation, zombies, and the like. She enjoys spending time in the cemetery near her house and checking out the graves. She's also pretty unemotional about stuff that would really upset other children. She tells me she's never missed me or her dad when we're not around. And she was the only one of us that didn't cry when we put our dog down recently. She told me I shouldn't cry so much because we all knew he was going to die soon. I think she's an amazing child, and I love the hell out of her independent little spirit, but it definitely takes other kids and adults by surprise. And I wonder how she'll get on with other kids as she gets older. She's starting kindergarten next week. Oh, she's still young. Alright, that's it.